2013, history is made. A defeat of the giants of Israeli basketball. Maccabi Tel Aviv gives Maccabi Haifa their first ever basketball championship.
It's unbelievable. I still don't understand what we did.
See so many people say they've waited 50 years for Maccabi Haifa to take a title. You see the tears in certain people's eyes. That's what it's all about for me.
2014, the rematch. In overtime of the championship series final game, the Greens fall just 2 points short of defending their title.
And we have a new championship tonight, Maccabi Tel Aviv.
At the end of the day, we won the game, but we lost. And I mean, that's the worst feeling, I guess.
2015, a hunt for redemption.
The team is confident and hungry.
A lot of teams are nervous, scared, whatever you want to call it.
We can go up on the playoffs and do something special this year.
After making a late run to end the regular season, does Maccabi Haifa have what it takes to once again reach the promised land? After a month-long battle for placement in the standings, the dust settled, and the picture became clear for the first-round brackets in the Winter League playoffs. In the quarterfinals, the league's top 8 teams squared off in best-of-5 matchups. First-seeded and defending champion Maccabi Tel Aviv drew number 8, Nez-Ziona, and swept them in 3 straight games. Second-place Jerusalem faced off against number 7, Hapoel Tel Aviv. The Reds of Jerusalem would also move on after their own series sweep. In an upset, number 6, Rishon LeZion surprised number 3, Hapoel Holon, taking that series 3-1. In the fourth and final matchup, Hapoel Eilat faced off against a red-hot Maccabi Haifa. Through the end of April, the Greens won 4 out of their last 5 games, including a victory over top-ranked Maccabi Tel Aviv. Although they locked up the number 5 seed, they faced a difficult matchup against the 4th place, Eilat.
Eilat was a very good team. They were good all year. We thought our chances of beating them was pretty good.
After a tough loss on the road in Game 1, Haifa headed back home for Game 2. The Greens went right to work and jumped out to an early lead, but it came at a great cost. Will Graves, who had a terrific Game 1, went down with a knee injury in the first quarter.
Losing a key 3-point player and a smart guy like Graves, it hurt, and we couldn't quite get our maximum game.
Iko Febu, the team's MVP, went to work, stepping up with 23 points and 12 boards. Haifa pulled ahead late and went on to win 76-68. Back in Eilat for Game 3, with Will Graves already sidelined. Haifa's strong start was sidetracked by early foul trouble. Despite strong performances by Moran Roth and Iko Febu, Eilat pulled ahead for a 85-79 win.
I think Game 3 slipped away from us, and that might have been the series. We pretty much had him covered at home, but we didn't manage to take him down there like we did in the last regular season game.
A win-or-go-home situation for the Greens on their home court for Game 4. They held the lead throughout the game until Eilat struck back and tied in the 4th quarter. However, veteran Israeli guard Dagon Yevzori hit the Greens' biggest three-pointer of the year to take the lead back late, and Haifa held on, forcing a trip back to Eilat for Game 5.
Graves came off the bench with an injury in Game 5. He did his Willis Reed moment and really gave us a great shot in the arm in the final game.
The game was tight throughout, but Haifa had no answer for Eilat's Khalif Wyatt as he hit big 3-pointers down the stretch and totaled a series-high 35 points.
Khalif Wyatt outperformed us in this game. and we couldn't find the matchup solutions, although we played our best defenders on him, changed defenders, there was no success. So I think this was the matchup that decided the series.
After defeating Maccabi Haifa in 5 games, Khalif Wyatt and Hapoel Eilat now had a tough task ahead, taking on first-place Maccabi Tel Aviv. But Eilat carried their momentum into the series and took Tel Aviv all the way to a decisive Game 5. But it didn't stop them from pulling off a huge upset and advancing to the championship, where another powerhouse, Jerusalem, was waiting. The Winter League Championship consists of a 2-game series where the total points combined in both games determines the champion. Wyatt was quiet in Game 1 as last year's league MVP Dante Smith led the charge for Jerusalem. They dominated Eilat by a margin of 15 points. In Game 2, no different. Smith and Bracy Wright each notched 20 points. Jerusalem went on to win by 20, taking the club's first ever Israeli championship. For Haifa's players, the season's conclusion brings an end to the day-to-day friendships and camaraderie formed among teammates throughout the past year. A time to reflect on memories of the season and their time spent in Israel.
To me, it was a very special season, and I've been through, it's my 9th, I think, season. I gotta say, I enjoyed every minute, even when we were down.
This year, there's been a lot of memorable moments because we had such a great unit.
Good basketball, guys. Good basketball.
There were many moments with these guys. I mean, obviously it's a very unique group of guys, always positive, always enjoying, losing, winning, the atmosphere stays the same.
Even though when we were down, we knew we could always come back. And so that's what we kept doing. We kept pushing,
We stayed together, we stayed focused, and that's what helped us turn the season into more of a positive season than a negative one.
We have something good going. And to me, this year reminded me, if I forgot, why I love basketball so much.
For owner Jeff Rosen, it's a time to consider the positives of the season just completed and carry them into what's coming next as the club begins to transform.
This season we had trials and tribulations. The main player on this team was Ike coming back, replacing Dante Smith, which is some pretty big shoes. And as it turned out, Ike did fill those shoes pretty much. But as Ike was rehabbing, the team developed slowly and on different backs. So we found ourselves in a lot of transition early in the year, and we were on a bad spin where before we knew it, we were like 4-8 and we were in a hole. We were bleeding at the point guard, and every team knows if you're not stable at point guard, you're in for trouble. And during this transition, we needed relief and in a hurry. So Coleman and Roth stabilized a ship at sea that was bouncing in the waves and allowed us to set sail and go forward. And it wasn't until Ike joined us and began to be the old Ike, which was near Christmas time, did the team set forward.
One of the key components to Maccabi Haifa's success this year was Iko Febu. After missing most of the previous season with a torn ACL, the power forward made a remarkable comeback and completed a full season with the team.
Probably the more versatile bigs out in this league.
This year was just different for me. I didn't know what to expect coming off an injury, never been injured before. But my goals personally was just to come back as strong as possible and help the team as much as I can. And I was able to do that for the most part.
On the season, he posted 8 double-doubles and ranked second in the league in points and efficiency.
I love playing with Ike. He'll pass it, he can score, he can be aggressive.
He'll find a way, regardless, to get almost a double-double per game. And it's just impressive to see, like, his high percentage shooting from outside. It's been a pleasure to play with and watch. Like, he's a great player and a great teammate. Maccabi
Haifa hopes to re-sign Ike for another season. They also have to consider a plan B.
Our best player last year was Ike. His salary demands this year are going to be really high. Guys, I'm just not sure we have it in our budget. We have to look at alternatives. Ivan Oscar.
I think we need somebody that can shoot the ball much better than him. I think that the perfect fit is a guy from Australia.
Brooke Motum.
This guy played in Washington State, then played 1 year in first division in Italy. Good passer.
How big is he? What's his size?
Like, 6'10", 6'9", 6'10". He might be the only guy we will have to hide a little bit on defense.
Do you know him, Freddie?
I do know him, but I don't like to start the season hiding people. So a name came to my mind that a guy that I saw playing in Mexico is a 6'9", 7'4" wingspan. The guy is a gifted athlete.
Sometimes it's going to be a problem playing him and Alex together. So we have to rethink it, I think. I like the player, although I'm not sure he's the right fit.
Now we have a young, rising Israeli, Oz Blazer, who signed, and Oz is putting up some pretty big offensive numbers. Coach, is he going to be able to fill some of Ike's shoes if we don't bring back Ike? And what kind of player is Oz at the 4?
He can play face to the basket, he can shoot, he can drive, he can post up. All in all, I think that Oz is one of the only Israeli guys that made it in the last few years. We signed a very special guy.
Before the individual parts of next season's team are pieced together, Maccabi Haifa needs to secure their head coach. Success comes with consistency, and Jeff Rosen and his staff quickly moved to extend the contract of Rami Hadar for another season.
My first question to Rami was, do you want to be the head coach of Maccabi Haifa next year? And he said, of course. I have so much more to do and accomplish.
For me, it's the ability to get all the guys coming from different cultures, different backgrounds, different habits, and make them a team. Make them a team not only by style of play, but also by the feel, that everybody is willing to give up a little bit of his agenda for the team agenda, and becoming one group of guys with only one goal, winning.
Rami said to me at the end of the year he was honored to be the coach of Maccabi Haifa. He felt that he learned a lot in his first full year as a premier level coach. And we saw progress at Rami. We saw what Rami did well. We saw some of his challenges. And we also had a lot of player transition and player changes, atypical for a season. And we felt, and I felt in particular, if Rami would have a normal season with the normal changes, not the abnormal changes, that a lot of his strong management and his team approach, his defensive approach, would pay dividends. And in the last third of the season, the last quarter of the season, we were one of the hottest teams in Israel.
Next up in the process, piecing together the elements needed for Coach Hadar's system.
We want to be the best defensive team in Israel, which we were not far from being this season. We forced the most turnovers in the league, first in the league steals. We took the teams about 5% back in the points per possession, and I want to continue this process and make it the DNA of Maccabi Haifa for the year to come.
One of the building blocks of this team, unlike most of our, or even all of our previous teams, is this may be the best defensive team we've ever assembled. I mean, clearly we have two-way players at every position, but I don't see us having a defensive weakness at any level.
I think it's a special situation when you have really nearly, until now, I don't think we signed even one guy which is a liability on defense. All guys are good defenders or more than that. Now the system has to make them even bigger than what they are.
This is a collective defense that should hold teams to the lowest point totals and allows us to fight at a different level.
And I love the opportunity to coach these guys and to coach them together in one team. The outcome, we'll have to wait and see, but I think we're going to face a very, very different team than the classic Israeli basketball team.
A common reality for many pro basketball teams overseas is they must reconstruct their roster each year. It begins with scouts searching every international market for players with the right fit. Being an American owner of a foreign team, Jeff Rosen and his staff developed a unique method that fits their team's plan through a North and South American pipeline.
Before we put a name on the table, we have to do a very deep research, go to every market. I like to find players in market that are similar game style to the Israeli basketball game. I'm a believer that chemistry makes a lot of difference. I like to put players that has been playing together, they know each other, they know how to win, they've been in the war, and they're veterans.
Over the course of the past few years, the club has developed an American affiliate in the Miami Midnights, an ABA and FBA professional team that provides players an opportunity to develop and potentially sign to play in Israel for Maccabi Haifa.
You see a lot of guys, you see a lot of teams, and they're all fighting for the same thing. So that, in a sense, is the same anywhere. You know, that atmosphere you get when guys are just competitive and they're just grinding all the time to get to the championship, that's the same on any level. But this particular experience has been a nice experience. Like I said, you know, our organization takes very good care of us.
Building a team internationally is a fast-paced game, with teams from countries the world over bidding for the same players. It's a race against the clock to target and sign the right players.
With the time differential, basketball watch is 24 hours a day, no matter where you are. So if you like a player, a lot of managers in different teams, they might see the same thing. So whoever acts first is the guy who's going to get the player.
We're proud that I think we've created and built a niche. You know, we've created an identity, and I'd like to think that, you know, we'll stay at a world-class level.
For American players, finding the right team is just as important to their careers as the ability to play the game itself. With dozens of leagues worldwide, there are many options to choose from once deciding to play abroad.
First, I look for like the level of the competition of the league. If I feel like it's a good league that'll benefit me getting better, you know, I always like challenges.
Obviously, like what situation you're going to be put in, how good is the level, and like what is your position on the team going to be.
Anything that'll benefit my well-being as a person, you know, I look for stability in the organization.
Location, culture, and quality of life are all contributing factors. Research must be done before a final decision is made.
Kind of like almost going out on a date. You want to know about the person that you're interacting with before you put yourself out there.
The most important thing is you being comfortable, and I think in Haifa, for me personally, is one of the best, if not the best place I've been. We have a beach, we have great weather, we have an amazing arena, and here it makes it even easier having to have part of the management being from the States.
Ultimately, it's the clubs who must first choose to pursue players that fit their system. For Maccabi Haifa's staff, summer meetings in their Miami offices are when hard decisions are reached, in hopes of making all the individual pieces join to work properly together.
This year we're ahead of schedule, but we've pretty much filled the roster at the right price, and we think the talent and the upside's pretty good.
I'm pretty optimistic that we will finish more or less with the same roster.
Well, one of the guys we're bringing back and we've re-signed is Will Graves, who was a lovely, great acquisition mid-season. I need more points on this guy. How are we going to make that happen?
By playing the three, I think he also can post up a little bit. He can put the ball better on the floor. He will feel more confidence.
I want to mention he won a championship play with Vargas in Venezuela in 2012.
Okay.
He's a very athletic guy that he can bring all this, and I predict that he will be one of the leading scorers in the Israeli league.
Rene has been a rising star, and I think he's exceeded our expectations. We're happy to bring this guy back and excited that he's going to go to new heights.
He's not that strong in the upper body, but he used until the last inch of his body to push, go for the rebound, go for the defensive rebound, go to finish. He's a likable player. Everybody likes him, everybody want to play with him because he sacrificed his body for the team.
In Alex's case, we brought him over to the States. I know that he's a national player and he has to go back, I think, the end of July to play on the national team. What kind of drills and what do we hope to achieve in his personal training, both in the gym and in the weight room, if you will?
We have to solve the problem to make him explosive, that he can catch and immediately explode to jam the ball in the basket.
He has to understand how big, how strong he is, and he has to be mean. He's a nice kid. When you are on the floor, you cannot be a nice kid.
I agree.
You have to be a mean player and get it done.
We're going to work on lateral component and diminishing ground contact. All your power, explosive movements come from your hips. You know, we're trying to working on trying to open up those hips, get them more mobile, so you can get out of the hole quicker and get those movements a little faster.
It's really something new for me. I never worked on this kind of workout, like explosiveness and everything. I used to go just to the gym, pound the weights, and go to the basketball court. And this type of work is something new for me. I hope I'll take it with me to Israel, try to work it during the season.
With a new plan already in motion for next season, the Maccabi Haifa staff is hopeful for continued success. For Jeff Rosen, the trials and tribulations of owning an Israeli basketball team is a great passion.
There's two parts. There's the preseason of putting the new team together, and then sitting there in playoffs to see if your vision for the season comes true. As everyone knows, we've been to an Israeli championship 3 out of the first 7 years with 1 title, and we've been to playoffs 5 out of 7 years. In most seasons, we've been fortunate enough to achieve most of our goals and vision. You know, every year you want to win a championship, but it's very hard to win and to repeat. And our team has been at the top of Israeli basketball, and it's our intention to stay there.